am Dave, and I'm here with
Rick. Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year. I don't know when you're watching this, but if it's mid-July and you're in your shorts, sorry. But anyway, we recorded this at Christmas time.
Excellent. I agree. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, etc., etc. We'll probably get this up around the first week of the year. And hey, Rick, speaking of the year, we have a new year coming up. This happens every 12 months or so, and I'm curious, what are your language learning plans for 2018?
Yeah, none. I'm not doing any of that. I've given that up. I'm just packing that in. It's too much.
All right. Thank you very much. Good night.
All right. Bye, everybody. Yeah, well, the thing is, well, I don't know if anyone's watched before. So I'm learning Italian and French, and I've dabbled a bit in Mandarin. But I stopped Mandarin a while back just because it didn't have enough time. But everybody, you get this sort of what's on the forum we like to call wanderlust, where you decide you're going to go off and do some other language that you've never touched or done before. But while I was in Bratislava last year at the Lollygagging conference, I bought some CDs, which you probably can't see them, but they're in Slovak, Czech, and French. Now, I originally bought them for the French, but what I've been thinking about doing, so I've got 3 DVDs here of Asterix and Obelix, and I'm thinking about ripping them over to subs to SRS, which is basically change all the subtitles to SRS, spaced repetition. And the idea there would be that I could learn Czech through French, if you see what I mean. So I wouldn't have English as my native language subtitle, but I'd use the French to understand what the Czech subtitle means and what they're saying. So I have been considering sort of an experiment in learning Czech through French prior to actually rocking up in Bratislava in May. There is Slovak on here as well, but I think if I went for Czech, most people would understand me in Bratislava, so I'd probably be okay.
Okay. Well, let me put in a little more detail. My understanding is that you bought those DVDs because a friend of yours was learning Czech, and you said, "Oh, let's both get a set of these and learn Czech together," because your friend was, I think, learning Czech to read a Star Trek book. Is that not true?
Yeah, but I basically bailed on her because I'm not a nice person as usual, and I didn't keep my promise. But if I do rip them all, because she bought the same exact set, then I can help her do the same thing, subs to SSRS. But
okay.
That'd be the plan. So do you have any? I mean, that's just I mean, my actual plan is to carry on with French and Italian. I've got a new job which I have to commute to via train, which actually I used to drive a lot, so all I could do was audio, but now I'll be able to read as well and sort of watch films and things because I'm not driving. So my plan would be to spend that sort of hour of the commute doing French and Italian, either reading a book or watching a film or listening to audio, which is quite a bit of time, about 2 hours a day really, for French and Italian. So this is why I'm thinking I could probably sneak in another language,
Well, excellent. And for those of you who if this is your first episode, the last episode we did, Rick talked more about sub to SRS in the audio only video that we put out. So if you want more details on that, you can listen to that, or you can ask Rick. So yes, I am not going to be doing any sub to SRS. I will be doing some more reading of everything. Mainly right now, my goals for 2018 are to refresh and maintain my FIGs, which are French, Italian, German, and Spanish. Especially German and Spanish; those are the top 2. However, I got some new materials recently, so I am going to be working on a Native American language called Lakota.
Oh,
And,
nice.
yeah, and we have people here at University of Virginia are working with Lakota speakers, so I'm hoping to get connected with something along those lines. And I got this great series of books. There are 4 books, textbooks, levels 1 through 4, and those with audio CDs, because I'm old-fashioned. So I got that, and then I've also had another Lakota book that I bought for fun and hadn't delved into. So this year is going to be very Lakota heavy. I'm very looking forward to that. I'm also refreshing what little Slovak I learned and learning more. I'm actually hoping to get through all of colloquial Slovak before the Polyglot Gathering in late May. And I'm registered. I'm planning to go. I haven't fully been able to commit yet, but that is a plan. And then, oh, of course, Esperanto. It's going to be working on that. We have an Esperanto club at University of Virginia, although the timing for that is a little iffy for me. And then also Welsh. I think I'm going to get into Welsh. That seems to be a popular thing at the gathering. And I just read an article where I guess Wales wants to get 1 million Welsh speakers by 50/50. And I thought, hey, I want to be part of that. And then, of course, the last one, since it's kind of related, is Manx. So I want to get back into some Manx resources that I've acquired over the years. And this one was given to me by Adrian Kane, the language commissioner for the Isle of Man. And it's a fairly easy language, and I just don't use it that much. So I want to be consistent with it. And I'm hoping to incorporate as many of these as possible with whatever I'm doing for grad school. In a few weeks, I start my 2nd semester as a linguistics grad student, and I'm hoping to use knowledge of some of these languages to help get attached to more programs or to help me with my classwork. So that is the current plan, and they're kind of scattered all over the place, but I'm really excited to kind of have these things in front of me. I've got some great resources, and I'm looking forward to using them in a very productive way. I want to sit down, I want to go through lessons, write down vocabulary, study the vocabulary for a week or so, and then go on to the next lesson. So that's my plan. We'll see how that goes.
Well, that sounds like a lot of work. Now, before we started the video, Dave said to me, "Oh, I'm going to do a bit of a show and tell because I've got a whole load of books and I'm really excited to show them, and so you should too." I'm thinking, "Oh, crikey, I have nothing," but then I did look upstairs, and because because of this Wanderlust thing, like, oh, that's a nice language. I wouldn't mind learning that. I do have a fair amount of books that I've managed to find. So I'm planning to use Ossimil, or rather go back to Ossimil. When I started Mandarin, I was using Pimsleur, the audio course only. So I've got this, and I've got the audio somewhere on CD. So the plan is to also sneak in Mandarin back into the program. But I'm not going to stress out about it because there's just, it's just one of those things. I'm going to, if I manage to learn it over the next 10 or 12 years, then great. If not, I'm not going to stress out and try and finish the book, into January and all that sort of stuff. And then because I'm a habitual sort of buyer of these types of books, I think, in the US, do you have like charity shops? Because it's been a long time since I lived in the US. So in the UK, they have charity shops where people donate all their stuff, and then they sell it on to other people, and then the money goes to whatever the charity is, Heart Foundation or that sort of thing. Do you have a similar sort of scheme?
We do. We have Salvation Army stores. We have Goodwill stores. We have thrift shops, and these secondhand stores. Some of these are for charity, like Goodwill and Salvation Army. Excuse me. Other ones are just used item stores,
Right.
and especially used bookstores where and all of these I can find language books anywhere from a quarter to half or more of the retail price, depending on how well they realize that these books are worth money. But yeah, we do have a wide range of stores, especially in Charlottesville, Virginia. There are a number of shops I go to.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say is, like, it's a good place to find resources. So I generally tend to buy just randomly. So Japanese, I spent a couple years in Okinawa, so I thought, oh, I'm not learning Japanese, but I never did. Greek, Dutch, more Dutch, more Japanese, modern Greek, all sorts of stuff. I should learn dog, then I can tell him to shut up. Because what's happening here is we have unauthorized walking outside of my house. So
that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. My dog needs a permit before you're allowed to walk on the street.
What's your dog's name?
Fred.
Fred, come on, Fred. Come on, Fred. Make noise. Come on, Fred.
No, don't kick him off. He's good. So yeah. So anyway, that was just a portion of the shelf. I mean, I have all sorts of just random languages because it's like, oh, it's a language book, I'll just buy that. You know, because
it's $1, you know, or just, you know,
exactly.
if it's incredibly cheap, you can't afford not to get it. So
well, exactly, you know, because one day I might decide.
Yeah, exactly. Hey. So yeah, no, upstairs I've got shelves of books. I've got probably about, I think, like 30 Lonely Planet phrase books. I've got a number of Teach Yourself and Colloquial. I've got the Eurotalks, you know, the CD-ROMs of languages, and just, you know, eBay or Amazon, just anything you can find super cheap, used, you know, I'll buy it and it sits. But every once in a while I get to break things out. So it's a bit of an obsession, but it's also sort of preparation for, hey, if I go to, you know, if I go to Namibia, I've got a Namibian phrase book, you know, and that's a justification.
You really?
Well, really? I don't have one, it's just hypothetical. Or is it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So you're getting a job. Congratulations on the new job, by the way. Very exciting. How will that affect your travel plans for 2018?
Well, no, it's not a problem because I've already told them that I've booked that off. So I'll still manage, because I've signed up like yourself for the Polyglot Gathering in Bratislava. So I'm all paid up, ready to go. Told them I'm going, so that's all cleared. I'm going to take a significant number of these books with me to try and get shot of them, because obviously it's the perfect place to get rid of language books because they just get snapped up. I had a thought while you, like for the remainder of the year, we were going to talk about what we were doing, and for people who don't know, I'm the administrator of a language learners forum on the internet, forum.language-learners.org, and I'll put it in the show notes. But we have a lot of people, polyglots or just first-time language learners and things, and we have a number of challenges that we do to get people so that they can you know, get sort of motivated and do stuff. Now, the one I've talked about before is a thing called the Super Challenge, which is to read, we give 18 months, usually starts in May and then goes on to the next through this. So for example, this one will start in May of 2018 and it'll run through December of 2019. But the challenge is to read 100 books and watch 100 films in your target language. So this year, which ends in a couple of days, I signed up for a double challenge to do 200 books and 200 films in French and 200 in Italian and et cetera, et cetera. I did manage to do all of the films in both French and Italian, but I didn't do the books. I only managed to get to about 70 books in each, just because I didn't have enough time to read. So I'm hoping that with this new job and the time and the fact that I can actually read while commuting, that I'll be able to sort of take the challenge and actually win this time. You know, actually, you don't get a prize, but you do get some knowledge in your head, so that's always useful. And then there's another challenge which I run myself on the forum, which is called the Output Challenge. And the idea there is that you write 50,000 words in your target language, and you record, I think it's 50 minutes, 500 minutes of audio, text while you're speaking. So this year I want to really do the Output Challenge and focus on that, because it is one of the things that I'm lacking in my study. So I read a lot, so that's all input. I listen a lot, so that's all input, but actually talking to somebody or writing things down, there's not so much opportunity. So it's one of the things that we put the challenge out there for us so people get the actual opportunity to sort of produce output in the language. And we have other challenges like that I might take up, like the 6-week challenge, which runs every other 6 weeks. But that's for beginners. So it's if you're a beginner in a language, so if you've just started, it's 6 weeks to, you just run this challenge. It has a Twitter bot and you record your scores and you see how you're comparing against everybody else and try and get to the top of the leaderboard. For amount of time studied, pages read, all that sort of stuff. But anyway, I'm thinking about doing that one. So if I do decide to go with Czech or Dutch or Greek or something else, yeah, then I'll probably do the 6-week challenge. So anyway, all of these challenges are on the forum. I'll put the links in the bottom. So if anybody's interested in actually participating, most of them will start, well, they start at various times, but the output challenge starts in January. So I need to start writing.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I'll need it.
So now, since I've known you, you've been mostly as we've discussed, you've been more deep into languages, and so now you're talking about kind of spreading yourself a little wider, throwing yourself a little wider, but not as deep. What is the motivation for that? To study Dutch or Greek? What is the benefit for that for you? Is it just personal satisfaction? Is it for possible travel? Is it to get a better idea of languages in general? What's your motivation for that?
Well, I'm a masochist, I think, and I like to torture myself.
As well as the rest of us.
Yes. Ooh, boom, boom. Yeah. So no, but I think the Chinese thing is really just picking it back up. So that's not, and with that, I would be looking to do the same thing. It's to sort of go deep. I've recently decided that I don't need to go as deep as I was thinking. I'm like, this year is more of a maintenance year, so I know Italian, I know French, and I'll just maintain them through the year by reading and watching films and doing stuff and speaking to people on occasion. But then because I've got this little bit of extra time, I can add some other stuff in. So it's more of the fact that because I'm putting French and Italian on a back burner, that I can bring some of the others that I might want to do up. So Mandarin I've always wanted to do, so I might, well, I will do that, but slowly and gradually. But the other ones, it's more to get a taster, you know what I mean? To sort of see if I would want to go really deep in that language. I mean, I've been to the Czech Republic a lot, and I know a lot of people there, and I have some friends there. So it sort of appeals, but just from personal reasons, to learn Czech. But, I know a bunch of people from Holland as well, so Dutch is interesting, and I know a few people from Greece, and I've been to Japan. So all of these sort of things, I just want to sort of have a little taster and then decide what I'm going to do, because learning a language is obviously a huge commitment if you are going to go deep. So you might want to actually, enjoy the language before you start. That's my.
No, that's true. That's definitely. Yeah, and that's how I feel. And usually I enjoy language in the beginning, but then after I have to learn, extended phrases or grammar, then it kind of tapers off for me. And I'm not shy of grammar. I definitely am not afraid of that. But just sometimes I find that really I only want a superficial knowledge, a basic understanding of how it works. And a lot of times I love comparing languages on that level. So I don't necessarily need to get into heavy literature. I just need to learn basic conversational survival vocabulary, and then an idea of how to put it all together. And then I can compare, here's Navajo, and here is Basque, and they're totally different. Oh, in fact, hey, I forgot to mention, if time permits, I might actually get into Basque again. It's a neat language. It's an isolate, and it turns me on. So, but anyway, yes, I find that, well, you know me, I'm the wider guy. I like to, have a hand in every pot. So, welcome to my side of the fence.
Yeah, well, when you joining me on the other side?
Oh, ask me in 2047.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll have a go at that.
Actually, I think at that point I will have to learn deeper, because I will have studied every language superficially at that point, and I'll have nowhere else to go but deeper into them.
Oh well, maybe there'll be Tau Ceti 5 or something. They'll land, and you have to.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Language, 10 words in that.
Yeah, that's right. The invaders from Glornak 7 are due to arrive in about a decade, so I better get corrected on that. I hear it's related to Klingon, so I'm okay.
Did you actually learn any Klingon?
I learned, you know, I have to say, I never. Early on, I resented the idea of Klingon. I thought it was, you know, just it was for geeks, and it was a waste of a language, and I didn't even understand the purpose of Esperanto at the time, and so I was really against it. So I learned the one phrase. I learned, I think it was "Na devoye gosh," I think, which means "leave me alone." And I thought, okay, well, if any Klingon speakers come to me and try and speak Klingon, I'll say that, and they'll leave me alone, hopefully. But then I bought the Klingon dictionary, and it came with a grammar aspect of it, and I started reading it, and I learned that there are these really neat grammatical concepts that, you know, some are taken from real languages, others are probably just made up by the creator. But I found it fascinating because it was truly a language, and it wasn't just words slapped together in English syntax. It was its own language, and it had rules, and I found it fascinating, and it exposed me to sounds that are in, I think, like Thai and other languages that we don't have in English. So then I started respecting it, and now I have to say that maybe one day I will learn a little more Klingon. It's on Duolingo, so, you know, and anytime I can learn a language for free, I'm there.
Yeah, true. So you plan on doing Esperanto? Have you done it before, or are you just?
I've dabbled. I have done several lessons on the Duolingo Esperanto site, and but I don't use it that often. One of my classmates here, he hosts an Esperanto club, and he comes with, you know, Esperanto poetry, or like easy things to read in Esperanto. He'll discuss grammar, some of the neater points of Esperanto, but I don't use it in a conversational setting that often. And I think maybe this semester we'll work on trying to build skills and build conversation skills and vocabulary. And I'm really hoping to just use it regularly, because when I'm studying it on my own, it's fun, but it's all little tidbits of facts, and it's not used in the context of what a language usually is, and that's in getting by throughout the day, conversing, swearing at each other. So I'm hoping to get a little better at Esperanto, where I can actually speak it. I can say "Mi estas Dave," I'm Dave, and then if you ask me to say something else, I really have to sit there and go, "Mi vidis cafe," which means, I think, I read a coffee.
Hmm.
and you see my problem.
You can also watch. Well, we led into Esperanto from Klingon. You can watch William Shatner film in Esperanto.
Oh, but he's so bad at it.
Who says? Is he any worse than anybody else?
Well, I guess not. I guess there are very few native speakers, so you got to take what you can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But actually, and speaking of movies, we talked about this in the club, and I had mentioned the challenge, because I also signed up for the forum challenge with German and Spanish, and I haven't logged all my hours into the Twitter bot, which I hope to do today or tomorrow, just to get them in before the deadline. However, I did not make my goal. So what I'm going to do in the next 6 months, before the next challenge starts, I'm going to keep pursuing my goal, even though it's not in time for the deadline. I'm still going to continue watching German movies with subtitles and audio, and read German books, and do the same with Spanish. So that'll be my goal as well, to maintain that part of FIGS.
Can I just explore this a bit with you, because I'm really interested in this, and we're diverting off what you're doing. We're diverting off the topic, but there you go. Yeah. We always do. Why stop now? How much of the challenge did you accomplish, and have you actually seen an improvement by doing what you've done? Like, so I don't know how many you did. So tell me how many you did, and then tell me whether or not you actually saw an improvement based on what you did and accomplished.
I did a lot more of my challenge, the ones I signed up for were 100 hours in German movies, so audio or subtitles, and then I believe 100 books.
Yeah.
And then also the exact same with Spanish. And so I did a lot more with movies, mainly with subtitles. I did a little audio, but right now I'm very visual, and so I want to build up reading vocabulary more than anything. So I did that, and it was fairly easy because I knew most of what was being said in the subtitles in either language. And if there was a word I didn't understand, I would get it from the context of it being spoken in English. That was nice because I didn't need to understand what every word meant because I recognized most of them. So every once in a while, a new word would pop up, and I'd say, oh, well, I know what that is, and I know what the whole sentence means now. With reading books, similar thing. What I did was I was reading books that I had in German and Spanish. And so I would read the chapter in German and get an idea of what was going on. Then I would read the exact same chapter in Spanish, and each language kind of filled in the gaps that I was missing with the other. So I got a much better picture of what was going on in each chapter. And I really enjoyed that because I didn't have to rely on English, and I was still kind of, kind of, on a ledge there where things weren't entirely stable. I didn't have anything to fall back on because I chose not to resort to a dictionary. It was just read the chapter in German, read it in Spanish, and then move on to the next chapter. And I really, really got benefit from that. And I didn't have as much time to read as I'd hoped, especially because of school, but really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I wanted to continue that into the new year with reading in target languages without reverting to my native tongue.
Right. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I've seen a similar benefit. I've done 2 challenges now, so it's a vast improvement from when I started. Yeah, I can basically read books sort of for pleasure now. I don't really, it's sort of like reading in English now. After you've done 2 or 3 of these challenges, you get to the point where you just read the book. You're not really studying anymore, which is a good way, because then at that point, you're using the language and you're actually enjoying it, use of it, rather than, studying, which is bloody awful, isn't it? Really studying.
Yeah, it's fun at the beginning, because you're learning vocabulary left and right. But when you're trying to get through a book, you're trying to pay attention to the story, and you have to stop every third word because you have no idea what it means, and you can't get it from context because you don't have enough other words for the context. Then it does slow you down, and it really is an exercise, which I love. But at the same time, I also want to get to the point where I can read a book without having to stop to understand every single word.
Yeah. So, any other plans? Like, you haven't really filled this in. I think you've filled this in up to May. What's after that?
Well, let's see. Over the summer, I'm hoping to be at the gathering in Bratislava. I may be in Hong Kong before that, so I may have to go back to some Cantonese and go back to my 20 phrases that I learned and have lost. I have a conversation partner who I help with English, and he speaks Mandarin, Chinese, or Mandarin, Cantonese, and something else, and I forget which. But he's a resource, so I may use him for some language learning. Then I hope to be in Guatemala for the summer. Oh, I want to continue Quiche. Oh, so too many languages. I'd like to continue Maya Quiche, and then in the fall I'll be back at my final semester of grad school, and hopefully I will have narrowed down some kind of project or some kind of job to hitch onto after I get my degree next December. So this year will be a lot of exploring. I'll be going to the LSA conference in Salt Lake City in a few days. I'm hoping to kind of network there and meet people and kind of see what can be done. My thing is endangered languages and language documentation, so I'm really hoping to meet people who can lead me towards a career in that. And then there's also a Tunica language camp I'll be going to in January. Tunica is an endangered or a dead language that they're bringing back, and they're having success with it. So I want to learn more about that, and maybe learn some and be a Tunica speaker, maybe even a Tunica teacher down the line. So yeah, so right now this coming year will be a crapshoot of everything, but I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Actually, I think we'd be interested in seeing some video of that conference if you get a chance. And I don't know if you'd have an opportunity to ask any questions, but I'm just thinking if people are watching this and they're thinking they had a question that be interested in asking some linguists, if you put them in the comments, maybe Dave can grab one in a corridor and you know.
Yeah. And if people have any questions for us, we're going to try an audio podcast at some time in 2018 after I get back, and hopefully answer questions and have discussions. So if anyone has any questions about anything, put them in the comments, and we will pick them up, in one form or another.
Yeah, we'll read them. We're not promising to actually answer them.
Well,
we don't really know anything.
At this point, I'll answer anything I can.
Okay. I think Dave's cup's empty. Yeah. So I think that's it for this pod. Well, it's not a podcast. It's this video.
Cast.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to comment. If you like the video, please subscribe. Everybody always says that, but really do it. It's cool. and we'll talk to you in the new year. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone, and talk to you all soon.
All right. Good to see you, Rick. Good to see everyone. Drive safe, party safe, responsibly, and learn a language.
See you later. Bye.